always be marketing. No two ways around that. You either sell or you're being sold. So which one do you want?
Welcome to the art and science of real estate negotiation, where real investors learn to close deals that actually move the needle. Tune in every week for real conversations with the pros who've mastered the science behind the art of the deal. With your host, best-selling author, speaker, and founder of Traction Real Estate Mentors, Tom Zeeb.
Welcome back to the Art and Science of Real Estate Negotiation podcast. It's Tom Zeeb. We're Traction Real Estate Mentors. Here today interviewing a very successful investor and student of mine, Horace Robinson. How you doing, Horace?
I'm all right. Yourself?
Awesome. Thanks. So you've been on a roll lately, huh?
Yes, I have. Yeah, consistency does pay off.
Tell us about it.
Well, the last one I did was pretty much driving for dollars. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I pretty got to a point where I'm in my own neighborhood. So I don't even drive for dollars right now. I just walk for them. That booked Acres of Diamonds.
Yes.
Right? A lot of the time we keep going out looking for something that's outside when it's always under your nose. Right. So, I went out, started walking, just basically going across an intersection and, down the other side is a complete dead end. Right. So not much traffic goes down there or anything, but there was something that caught my attention with one of the properties. I took a stroll on down there and it was vacant. And after doing a little exploration on it, it's been vacant for over 2 years. So I got to work and I did find it was in a trust. So it was already assigned to an attorney and all that. So, I spoke with everybody, got spun around for a couple of months, right? But still keep, being consistent with it. So in the end, yes, I was able to assist them out of a situation. And I got the property on the contract.
Beautiful. What'd you do with it?
I was considering wholesaling it, but our neighborhood knows a little bit tricky with wholesaling. So I had to basically I had to purchase it.
Okay.
And then sell it back.
Yeah, so kind of a double
close, yes.
Gotcha.
Cost a little bit more to get it done, but
why were you worried about just assigning him?
Well, the new laws in Virginia right now dictate only one wholesale. After the second one, you can get charged.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, there was enough equity in it, so I was able to do that.
Yeah. It's totally random. Yeah. Well, one, you can do it, two, you can't.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you pulled what kind of profit out of that you had enough room?
Well, after I paid to buy it, sell it, I end up with $88,000 in my pocket.
That's not a bad payday.
No, it's not.
All from walking a neighborhood and looking, driving for deals, but walking for deals.
Right, yeah. But what I found out also is that normally when you go driving for dollars, and don't get me wrong, I'm not against it, but you spend a lot of your time watching traffic, watching pedestrians, watching everything else except where you're really supposed to be looking at. So,
were you saying you don't want to crash your car, Horace?
That would be detrimental to me right at that point.
I got you. I often drive for deals with my son. That way, one of us is from
has an eye on the road. Yes.
Yeah, yep. But if you're alone, you've got a lot to watch for. And I was hoping to pull over. You see something, if it's not. It's easy enough to tag as you're going, but if you're not sure you need more to pull over, it's okay. That's what the curb is for. That's what parking is for.
Or there are certain areas you don't really have sidewalk, much less, extra space to pull over. Somebody behind you gets a little bit upset with you for, number one, traveling too slow. Number two, ad hoc breaks.
So everyone else can drive at breakneck speed and tax while they drive, but heaven forbid you tag properties and make money.
You know the deal.
I know. What about the pace of walking versus driving? Is that an issue?
Well, walking is a lot slower, right? And you really get to see a lot more, especially in your neighborhood, because there are a lot of things you keep driving by and, you don't really pay attention to them. Drive past something and there's something else catching your attention because you're driving, right? But at least in your own neighborhood, you already have an idea of the prices in your neighborhood, so you don't have to go searching for anything, right? So anything out of the ordinary, it's a lot faster for you to find it in your own neighborhood.
Interesting. So you're finding that slowing down has sped you up?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a reversal, right?
Now, how far was this property from where you live? Since you were walking, I'm assuming it wasn't
Not a mile. It wasn't a mile.
a mile.
It was not a mile.
No, not even a mile.
Not
Okay.
even a mile. Yep.
Hmm.
And the thing is, when you're walking, you don't necessarily have to go the way of the road.
Yeah.
You cut across trails, stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Because a lot of people, and tell me if you felt this way before, but a lot of people feel like they have to be somewhere else to find deals. There certainly aren't any deals on your street or in your neighborhood or in your backyard.
Yeah, that was my initial thought too, because I've been, all over the place driving for dollars, but because of that, you're not being consistent enough with it.
Yeah.
When it's right in your neighborhood, you drive past within a mile of, I don't want to talk about out in the doldrums or the boonies,
Yeah.
but normally, most development, stuff like that, within a mile of where you are, you'll be surprised at what you can run into.
I think that's wise words. I mean, we pulled $88,000 from your neighborhood within a mile of your house when you didn't possible. Because your other deals have been, you've been focusing in other towns, what, about an hour and a half away from where you live?
Yes. Yeah. My initial thing was in Petersburg, just 2.5 hours away from where I am.
Okay.
And I initially got there because properties were a lot more affordable and stuff like that. The rental costs were a lot more affordable than where I am.
Yeah.
I went down there. Yes, I bought a couple of properties down there. I did the burst strategy, got some cash back, got all my money back out of it, stuck it in my pocket. And, all the properties are cash flowing right now. Right. I got to a point where, it's a little bit frustrating buying junkers. So I went and got a complete new build. It took a little longer than anticipated to put it on the market, but we got on the market. I got it rented within 2 months and it's paying for itself right now. So, and then I just said, let me come back a little closer home because, a day of driving isn't much fun sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I came back home and just started, dealing with my neighborhood, started driving a little further out. And I said, let me just walk because, stuck my Fitbit on, put some steps in. So I have my regular mantra of 8,000 steps a day.
Okay.
So it's about 4 miles. So you'll be surprised how fast it goes.
So within an 8,000 step range of the house, so I guess 4,000 out, 4,000 back.
Right.
Yeah. Well, now you could always drive to other neighborhoods, park up and walk around.
And Walker, thank you. It's not only made more money, it's healthier for me too.
Yeah. Expand your circles. Very nice. How long have you been a real estate investor, man?
I started work with you, I think, in 2018.
Okay.
Right?
2018, we're in 2025. So you're about 7 years in.
Yes, but I was involved with it prior to the meltdown. So like a lot of folks, that was a learning experience for a bunch of us.
Yeah.
So, took what I learned at that point and came back anew. No pun intended. At that time, I'm looking at it now is never hold off from buying because it's a cycle, right? And I know after the market crashed a couple of years ago, it has taken a time for it to recover. Look at what happened in the last couple of years. But things were ridiculous.
Yes.
Right? Because even when I started in Petersburg, it was like 2021 or thereabout. And I went down and it's like, I don't want to buy this. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. It's, still keep looking for the lower price. And I just got to a point, it's like, look, you got to pull the trigger on it. So the first one I got, it was even on market, right? It has been on market for a long time. I basically just put an offer in with the agent, and I got it worked down to $60,000, right? So $60,000 seems presentable at that point. I put 50 more into it. I'm renting it right now. I'm still pulling in over $1,400 a month on it. Never wait until it gets bottom because it's never going to get there. I see folks looking now and say, interest rates are high and But prior to the meltdown, interest rates were over 7%. Don't expect it to go back down to 2-3%.
No, everyone's always waiting for something. Something's
Yeah.
never quite right. Oh, it's not the right time because X, because Y, because Z. But the problem is, it's never the right time for anything. That's the whole point. You
Yes.
make it into the right time because it's the right time for you now.
Right. Yes. And I don't know, I just probably got, after my investments becoming a landlord, stuff like that, it's like, it's really I don't want to put the pun out there, but sick and tired of being sick and tired. Right? Or not getting any younger.
Yeah.
Right? And stuff like that. And retirement's coming. What are you gonna do? I don't want to wait on the stock market. I saw too many people going back to work after the 08 meltdown when they had ample cash in their stock in their portfolio, but they lost everything. It's like, okay, stock market ain't my forte. So give me something which is a little bit more tangible.
That's a big issue. So we've opened up a bunch of cans of worms about the thread. So I'm gonna pick away at them as we weave in and out of talking about the deals and talking about you. You're pushing retirement. Don't a lot of people? I mean, did you ever feel like? 'Cause I know I hear from a lot of people. Didn't you ever feel like I missed the boat? I'm too old. I'm not young enough. I should have done this 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. Did you feel that way? One, and if you did, how did you overcome it?
Well, remember I said earlier, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Okay.
right? It's a mindset. A mindset, you have to have a mindset change, right? You say, look, enough is enough. It's either or, right? I can't keep on this track because there's insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, right? So something has to change. And if the world isn't going to change, which you have no control over the world, you have to then change. At least you have control over yourself at that point and what you do. So I just basically said, look, I really have to pull the trigger on something at this point because I've seen too many people wait. The thing with me that at least I got a second chance, right? I remember 08, they had folks getting ready to retire, and all of a sudden their $700,000 million portfolio was, $200,000-$300,000. So, I'm fortunate I did have the opportunity to, get that second chance, but you had to pull the trigger, and it did come down to a mindset. It basically had to change how you think.
Now, Horace, do you wish you would have gotten sick and tired of being sick and tired 10 years earlier?
Oh, man. Yes.
Good. I'm not trying to
Yes.
insult your wound. I'm trying to inspire somebody that's listening to watch them to go, it's all it really takes is to suck it up and say, there ain't going to be a better time. Now is my time.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty much all it is. And if you're consistent with it, it'll work out. You just have to be consistent and put your mind that, look, something has to happen. If I keep going on this path, I'm not going to get anywhere.
Absolutely. Did anyone need to give you permission, or was it enough for you to just decide you were ready?
Me. That's the only person I have control over is me, right? So, just go there and do it.
I gotcha. So another thread you opened up was you said this last day you got it through an agent and it was listed. What's it like negotiating through agents? Because are you an agent yourself, or
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Pure investor like me? So what's it like negotiating with an agent?
Painful.
Why is that?
Look, it's contrary because I'm looking for the best price for me, while they're looking for the best price for them, and you've never gotten the opportunity to speak with the person who makes a decision in the background.
So what?
Because it's a little bit of when you're negotiating tactics with printed word. Right? I basically got somebody to come in, look at the property, tell me what it's going to cost to get certain repairs done, right? And then presented that to the agent, right? Said, look, I'll offer X. I'm going to spend money to fix it. Plus, I'm going to need this just for repairs, not anything fancy, just to make it presentable, right? Present that to your to the seller, and this is what I'm offering. I can close in a week or two on their timeline and see what they say. They came back 5,000 above what I was still asking. I said, no, it still isn't going to work for me. So a week after that, yeah, I got a call. They're willing to take it.
There we go. So
Yeah,
some patience, some incremental movements, starting off with showing them printed words so they know you're serious and you based your numbers on something.
Yes, that is correct.
So do you find having because I know I've taught you a whole bunch of negotiation techniques over the years. Do you find having that tool belt or that arsenal of different negotiation techniques and strategies, having that at the ready, how helpful has that been for you?
It has been. It has been. One of the main things is higher authority.
Okay.
It's never me, right? I gotta okay with somebody else. So I do have that buffer.
Yes.
Right? If you go in there, it's like, man, okay, I missed something, I goofed up on something, and so well, my partner also, we can't do that number because of this price, but we will or we can at this price.
So you are the higher authority. For anyone who doesn't know, you basically have to quote unquote talk to your people,
Yes.
even if your people don't really totally exist. Do you work alone, Horace? I mean, is it just you and your
Yes.
company?
Oh no, I work alone, but
Yes.
my people is my calculators and my critical assessment when I come in and not having to negotiate with you and put everything back on printed word, the paper,
Yep.
and look at it through at that point. It's like, yeah, it either makes sense at that point or it doesn't.
Beautiful execution. What other negotiation lessons have I taught you over the years that you find particularly useful and particularly good for grabbing deals and getting good prices?
Flinching is first. And then when you put it out, specific numbers, because similar to like when I go to a contractor or stuff to get numbers from them,
Yeah.
I want that specific. I'm going to add my 20% to it, whatever the case might be, as a buffer. Because, I've never had a contractor that comes a number. They quote me a price, it's always a little bit more. So I'm going to add something in there, as that buffer. And then from there, that's the number I'm going to be presenting. Those two especially, higher authority, printed word, and never pick your price out.
Wow, in many ways, I'm always smiling because sometimes it's just the basics can carry you so far.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more advanced and there's refinement of these, but at the end of the day, the basics, which I think are fairly simple to learn. Do you agree?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, once
They
you know
are.
what they are,
It takes practice. Yeah, exactly. It takes practice.
yeah,
No way to put them in. And one thing, don't ever get upset. You do that, you throw the deal away.
tell me more.
You get angry for, the seller may come with something silly or something like that. Agree with them. They have a right to think the way they do, right? Agree with them, right? And then move on. That's, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Don't get upset. Just take it as it is, agree, and move on.
Anyone ever get mad at you or call you names or not call you or threaten you?
A few.
Yeah.
A few. Well, my pride has been gone long ago. I'm buying something, I'm selling something, right? So I'm gonna get cussed out, I'm gonna get ridiculed, whatever the case might be. But at the end of the day, I go to my job and you probably get some of the same attitudes at your job. But at least when you're out on your own, you get that kind of attitude. You're going away with a much bigger paycheck.
Yeah. What was life like before you studied my negotiation techniques? Was it like is that one of the big things that shifted for you? Is it learning how to negotiate? I mean, obviously you're going and finding them, and you decided now's the time. But what's the impact that the negotiation has had?
Initially, okay, when I just started, I was all with the agents.
Okay,
right?
listed
properties, right?
Yeah.
But then there isn't much negotiation with the agents. when you go to the person who pays the agent, well, sorry, I do. I'm the buyer. I also pay the agent. But when you go to the seller at that point, the seller is going to look at, okay, I'm still paying an agent. How much longer do I have to wait to get paid via the agent? You know, I can come in, I may make you a lesser offer than what the agent is pushing, but I can close in 2 weeks. I'm not looking for home inspections or stuff like that, right? Whatever number I give you on paper is what you're going to get, right? So when you go to closing in 2 weeks, if you want to close in 2 weeks, that's the number I'm going to pay you. I'm not going to call in assessment or whatever to say, oh no, this is broken, that's broken, so I'm looking for a price reduction at that point. Plus, you know, you don't have to worry about you as the owner. You have an agent there. You have to, you know, schedule time to have the house buyers walking through your house, right? So you either have to be there when they're there, or you're not there when they come in. Plus, you got to keep your house spick and span, you know, for the market. You don't have any of that with me, right? I'll go in, I take it cash price. It's going to be a little bit less than probably what you're looking for on market. But look at all of what you don't have to do.
So you're framing everything else as a benefit. Like, you don't have to keep it super spick and span. I'm not going to be traipsing people through all the time. You don't have all that weight. And you're taking that and you're speaking through the realtor to the frustrations and pain points of the actual seller. So even though you've got to go through a buffer, you're still remembering who is actually making the decision.
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point to always keep in mind, because there's a person on the other side of everything.
Yep. That's what I said. Don't get upset sometimes, which is part of one of the negotiating tactic also. Don't get upset. Look at the positives. Look what you're bringing to the table. Because at the end of the day, and I'm not against agents, everybody's got to make their, you know, own dues. But sometimes an agent in the deal is what causes me to walk away, because that amount is what would make the difference between not being able to handle the property and not being able to.
Yeah, I have all of that in mind. And like you say, don't get mad, don't get upset. You could always walk away. Away power is a good negotiation, because a lot of times you walk away, they come back to you.
Yep. Next.
Next. And don't worry about it. But was that, you know, did you accept that right off the bat, Horace? Or did it take a little bit?
No. Yes, that took a while to get used to, because, like, you know, it's almost there.
Yeah.
But there's that word, almost. Right. It's not really there yet.
Thinking back then, because I wanted you to put yourself in the shoes of you a few years ago. Why was that difficult? What was the hang up? Because I think if we understand that, and then you talk about how you got over that hang up, that's helpful to people.
It's a mindset. I'm trying to figure out what really changed in the process. Because, like, I think it's when you don't have many deals coming in and you find something does come, you try to do everything possible to make it work. And a lot of the times that's not to your advantage. You have to get comfortable with the thought process of saying next and move on. Because anytime you're going to sit to try hanging on to that, you're going to end up, number one, paying too much for it, and then getting frustrated after that because I paid too much for it. And, you know, it's okay when somebody upsets you, right? You can at least get upset with them. When you upset yourself because of, you know, not thinking, that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes.
Sometimes it's a hard pill for people to swallow. It's just going to take some practice. You have to do it. You suck it up at one point. You do it. You realize you're still alive and breathing. It doesn't matter if the person was rude to you or mean to you. It doesn't matter if it worked out or not. You do it and you move on quickly. Maybe to put into a metaphor, what you're saying is not every lemon can be made into lemonade. Sometimes it's just a lemon.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Walk away.
There's nothing you can squeeze out of it. Just
no. Yeah, but that's I think part of the problem that people have with that is they think they finally found the lemon, therefore they have to make lemonade. But the problem is they only have one lemon. And when you go out and get a whole bunch of lemons, now you're not as worried about whether or not that one
bingo.
specific lemon turns into lemon.
Right.
Uh,
Yep. Yep.
Stretching
Or-
the
or-
metaphor there, I think it works.
or whether that lime is really a lemon.
Yes, but true. It's a lime. It's not quite. It's similar, but it's not
Yeah,
quite
right.
right. Yeah, could
Yep.
be a different flavor. What So that same hesitation when we first met, did you have hesitations about coming into the Total Attraction program?
No, I never had hesitation about coming into the program. I had hesitations about, can I do it?
Okay, so it was still a self doubt.
Yes. Yep. The doubt was within me at that point, because I think a lot of folks go out and they take courses and stuff like that. And it's much easier to pass blame on the instructor than it is to accept that you're not the one, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? And I've seen people spend, big money, and I've been somewhat, in that arena also. Right?
Yeah.
When you really look at it, is you really just have to put yourself out there. I can, they can all show you the way. Some cost a lot more to show you the way than others. But at the end of the day, you really have to make a choice. Is that what I really want?
You're the one that needs to do it.
Yeah. Yes, you need to make that choice. Right? But look, everybody wants to be a real estate investor. No pun intended, right? But it is a lonely job. It is a difficult job. It is something that you have to put your mind to. Right? You can't be out with the buddies and stuff like that. You ain't having house parties and stuff like that. Yes, you will have some house parties with your contractor, right? But that's pretty much the party you're going to be having.
Yeah. Yes. What would you say to somebody that's in your old shoes back when you weren't so sure and you were hesitating and you weren't sure about spending money on programs? What do you say to them?
What do you want? What do you want? That's it. It boils down to that, right? Because we all go out and get a job, right?
Yeah.
And then we complain about it after that. Look, I have a job that I like doing, right?
Yeah.
But things start changing. The job remains the same, but the environment changes. So at that point, do I feel comfortable, going back into it? Yeah, the job, what I do, I like doing. The environment might not be so great at that point, but it's a lot better when, at the end of the year, instead of making $100,000 at your job, you make $200,000 outside doing what you really want to do.
Yeah.
I read something the other day, and it was, okay, let me explain it. You see where I'm coming from. Everybody says youth is wasted, right?
Uh-huh.
If you turn away and look at it, when you were growing up, how many of those kids' toys do you ever remember yourself getting? How much fun do you ever remember yourself having with them? Right?
Yeah.
When you have the finances that avail you the opportunity to get what you want, to go where you want, where does the fun stop?
Where does the fun stop?
Right. When you can afford what you want, right? And the maturity to understand when you're kids, we all, kid world, right? When you don't have the resources to do, or you don't have the experience or anything to do at that point. When you get older, where you can really have memories that you can remember and stuff like that, that's the time you worry about going to a job, doing a 9 to 5, upset with your boss, stuff like that. Like, no, at that time, you want to go travel. If you see a nice car, you want to be able to buy it without having to pay for it every month. Right?
Yeah.
To me, that's what makes life worth living.
Yes.
And, that's what I say. It's a mindset to a mindset, right? Somebody gave me a book the other day, I didn't go over. Relentless.
Okay.
Relentless. And, I really look at it and it's, we all try to fit into different little boxes,
Yeah.
right? But for you to really get where you really want to go, you have to be relentless with it. It's that true. It's not for everybody, but it is life. And we're going to keep saying, oh, we would like this, so we would like that. But that's not life.
So you wish you would have done all of this earlier,
Oh, without a doubt.
and that would have changed a lot of life.
Without a doubt. So now I'm at the point where I have the mindset change. I've been able to do what I want, some of what I wanted to do. So why should I stop?
Yeah, excellent. Which decade of life are you in, Horace?
Retirement decade.
Retirement decade. Good. Very nice. And where are you from originally?
I'm Jamaican.
You're Jamaican. Cool. And you done any deals down in Jamaica as well?
Funny enough, no, I haven't, but I do have property there,
Yeah.
right? So I have, a couple of rentals down there also, which is a little bit more problematic to take care of because of the distance, right?
Yes.
So, but I have rentals there. I have raw land. I have things going for me there if I want to go that way. But, as it is right now, I'm just happy keeping it the way it is.
Yeah, I got you. Well, when you have good deals within 8,000 steps of where you're living now in America, it works out just fine.
Then I can become a snowbird.
Yes. Yeah, you can go back and forth
Right.
easily that way. Nothing wrong with that. What are you finding for the major problems you're coming up against? Like you're evolving as an investor, your marketing's evolving, your negotiations evolving, your deal flow is evolving. What problems are you still finding yourself pushing up against now?
Finding good deals.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, it's still the basics. What has happened now that the market has stabilized, at least presently as we're speaking, the market has stabilized, but I think a lot of sellers are still 2 years behind the ball, right?
Yeah.
But, you stick up property on the market and, you keep fighting sellers off because, everybody's giving you, higher and higher prices for the same property, right? But nothing has really happened to the property. It's the same size, the same condition, stuff like that. But if you look at even our tax records at this point for the last couple of years, it's been flat. Whatever taxes I paid on the property last year, the exact same price I paid on, cost I paid on it. They've changed the mill rate, so it went up a little higher, but the value of the property hasn't gone up.
Yeah. I'm going to loop back to Total Traction for a minute. You're on many of the monthly calls, trainings. What specifically do you get out of the program, and why have you stayed with me for so long?
The monthly calls are an advantage in that you're always learning something. Right? And I prefer somebody does the mistake and I can learn from them instead of doing it myself. That's my main thing. There are instances where I have something to offer, right? Where I do have something to offer, while there are other instances where I sit and just listen to somebody else. Because, look, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
I understand. Yeah, so you're finding it as beneficial to hear what my other students are saying and asking, because you're hearing those questions and answers, those situations, and you learn as much from listening to what other people are doing as you do from having your own questions answered directly.
That is correct.
Cool.
That is correct. And I also have a few on-phone buddies through the calls, right? There are guys who I meet in the call, which are either in my immediate ear or I like how they communicate, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're in my phone quick dials. Something happens, give them a quick call. How is that area? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bounce things against them. So
yeah, the friendships develop, and it's designed that way. It's designed to be communal. It's designed so that you hear other people's problems. Because look, there's people that are further ahead in the business than you are, so further up the ladder. There's people that are further down the ladder and not as far as you are yet. But since you get to see what's up ahead and you can help what's behind, and since you're saying so many of your issues, basically, you just need to stick to your basics, find deals, make deals, and get paid. And so always hearing about what's happening around you starts to kind of propel you further.
It motivates you. It really does motivate you, right? You want to hear, what other individuals are doing, right? How they're doing it, right? What are the hang-ups? What are the hills, the bumps, stuff like that they're going through also in their market. And a lot of the time you find out you're probably pretty much going up the same thing in yours. So
there's not necessarily that much new under the sun.
yeah, true.
Everyone wants
we think that way. We think that way
Yes, we
sometimes,
think
but
that
it is not. Right.
No, it's a trap. It's a trap to think that way because it's kind of bright shiny object. There's something new, but it comes down to those fundamentals again and again.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Like you
Yes.
said a couple. Find deals, which is marketing, make deals, negotiation, and getting paid is a matter of control.
Right. Exactly. That's how it is. And you're right. No matter how many shiny objects come by, acres of diamonds, which is 2 blocks over or 200 miles away, right?
Yes.
And you keep chasing after that, and a lot of the times it's right in your backyard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that interesting? How that works.
Yep.
What are you working on now? You got any deals in the pipeline?
I don't have any immediate.
Okay.
I picked up one the other day, which I thought was lime, but it ended up being a lemon.
Okay.
Right? The numbers just didn't make sense. So, and I went inside, funny enough, prior to even going on the market, I had sent an offer to the owner, right? And they rejected. And then they, quote unquote, fixed it and put it on the market, right? It's close to me. It's pretty close to me. So, I went to one of the open houses. And when I went to the kitchen, I was like, oh my God. So it's been out there for, over 3 months. And I know that's exactly why it has not been sold.
Okay.
So, and I don't know how much was spent fixing it, but, that come to me before. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have offered them, a higher price, but they would have been gone. And, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, be patient. You never know. Situations change every day with the more time that passes by, and then people's attitudes towards investors, people's attitudes towards their own price, their own expectations, their attitudes all have to change when time goes by. And then sometimes that turns something into a deal for us investors that wasn't previously.
That's correct. Yes.
You mentioned something earlier as well. You said it's a little lonely being an investor. Tell me more about that.
Unless your other half or your child or stuff like that wants to come out with you every time you go out, you're pretty much on your own. Right? Because you have to be out there, whatever the weather is, right? And true, I don't go after a certain hour in the evening, right? But whatever the weather is, you have to be out there because you don't know when that opportunity is going to be or when you're just going to pass the right place at the right time to get what's yours, right? Or what is being offered to you at that point. So, it's not party time or stuff like that, right? You be consistent, you get what you need at that point. When it's closed, then yes, you may have a celebration if you want, but then you still have to go back through the same cycle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit lonely because it's always you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the final decision, it's like a business owner, multiple hats, right? Yeah. So it's always you. You have to make the decisions and stuff like that. So yeah, it's somewhat lonely.
Some people are applauding that it's a lonely business. And some people are going, oh, that sounds really not good because they're more people driven. I mean, there's people in the business you'll deal with, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to you, and there's a self-discipline and being a self-starter, which is effectively what you were describing earlier.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So don't expect to be, there's not a lot of water cooler chit chat and rat-a-tat-tat.
No.
It's you.
Yep. There's none of that out there.
I'll ask 2 questions. I'm going to start with the kind of negative one first. Things like that being lonely. Are there other negatives to the business? Let's talk negatives and then we'll talk positives.
I'm gonna say no, because like with anything you decide to do, it boils down to you, right?
Mhm.
Do you really want to do that? Yes, you may not be able to initially spend time, as much time that you'd like with your family,
Right.
enough time with your kids, being able to go wherever you want to go. And, that a lot of the time is put to the forefront that as an investor, you have time to do this, you have time to do that, only when you've gotten to a point of success. Because prior to you getting to that success, you're going to be working like double time every day to make sure that there's food on the table and stuff like that, right? And after that, then you have, like I said, when you get older, you can afford certain things that you really want, then that's the time that the benefits start outweighing the liabilities you had to go through before. So yeah, I think it's just like any business out there. If you start a business, you're going to be doing a minimum of 60, 80 hours a week just to get it off, right? No, that's not the time you're going to be spending going out with your buddies or going on a cruise and stuff like that. It's not. You have to make things work at that point. Then you start seeing the fruits.
That's like anything else. Put the time in that it needs, give it its care and attention that it needs, and then it'll pay off. I think a lot of people think they're going to get the benefit first and skip the work.
Yeah.
It seems to be a
doesn't work that
problem
way.
these days.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a kind of a downside, I guess. It doesn't sound all that down to me. What about the upsides? What are the things? What do you see as big benefits of the business? What do you really love?
Freedom.
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 In a word.
Yes.
Yeah.
The opportunity to go where I want to be at that point. Not because I am stuck doing something else, which may pay me, but that's my goal and handcuffs at that point, right? I wouldn't mind being somewhere else, but I can't because I have to be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 cents out. My time of freedom is at that point. And you're at a point where you at least you want to be able to enjoy that.
That freedom that you're after, it's effectively, I mean, you're putting your lifestyle first. You're putting what you want to get out of the business. You're building your business around your lifestyle goal, where I think a lot of people, either accidentally or just because they're so anxious to get the first deal done, they do it in reverse. And then their lifestyle suffers for the business, where if you put your lifestyle at the center, you can build a business around achieving that lifestyle.
That is correct. Yep.
So you've kept what's right for you in the center at the forefront.
Yes. There are certain things I like doing, and I'll keep doing them. I just want to be able to afford the time and the resources to be able to do them.
So what's next? Focusing on more marketing?
Oh, always be marketing. There's no two ways around that. You either sell or you're being sold. So which one do you want?
Gotcha. What else do you want people to know, Horace? What else haven't we said, or do you think are good words of wisdom?
To your own self, be true. Your own self.
Your own self, be true. Classics. It's awesome that way. Very cool. Horace, thank you for a very candid and open discussion. Appreciate it. And know everyone else does as well.
All right, Tom. Thanks.
Take care, Horace.
You too.